My son loves to play cornhole, and he wanted to get a set of cornhole boards so we could practice. So this summer as a project, we decided to build our own. Okay, so here's what you need for this project. You need two pieces of 3/4, 2 feet by 4 feet pieces of plywood. We bought ours pre-cut, and I also got the Sande plywood for its pretty surface. You need 4 2x4s, each of them need to be 8 feet long. 4 carriage bolts, they need to be 3/8 by 4 inches long, and of course you'll need 4 bolts and 8 washers. You guys know I love overkill, but for this project I am going to make everything as basic as possible. So start by taking your measurements for your 2x4 cuts. Make sure your plywood is 48 inches and square. Take your first 2x4 and make your 48-inch mark and then cut your piece. Now repeat this step for the second box. And when you're done, you should have both sides for each box completely cut. Now, like I said, I am going to make this as easy as I can. So normally you would measure out 9 inches from the end of a board and mark it. Ensure it was centered, and with a compass draw out 3 inches from the center all the way around. Then with a jigsaw cut out your hole. But to save time, I actually have a 6-inch hole saw blade for patching drywall holes that I will use to make a quick and perfect hole. So let me repeat what I just said so it makes sense. At the top of your board, measure down from the top 9 inches and make a mark. Now, from side to side, find the center of your box, which should be 12 inches from either direction, and you should now have an X on your box after you make your mark. At this point, you would need to take your compass and draw out a 3-inch radius from the point you just made. This will give you a 6-inch diameter with your X being in the center. Drill a pilot hole and then take a jigsaw and cut out your circle. For me, I will just cheat and use the hole saw. Now that our holes are cut, we can attach our sides. For me, looks are everything. If you have seen any of my shadow box videos, you know that I'm a big fan of wood glue. Now you can screw or nail these in, but I don't want big ugly nail heads visible in my final product. So I intend to use thin, barely visible staples and wood glue. So put down a bead of wood glue and ensure all your edges are flush, then clamp your sides into place. Now just repeat this process for both boxes and we can continue on. Now flip your boxes over and we will now put in our sides. Up to this point, if all is perfect, your side measurement should be somewhere around 21 inches. But don't assume they will be perfect. Wood has a funny way of never being perfect when I cut it. So for each side piece, take the time and make each individual measurement and then make your cut. Once they are all cut, you can repeat the process of gluing and clamping them into position. I will place my staples on the side this time so there will be no more in the face of the board. Okay, now we are going to cut our legs. You will need to cut 4 legs, of course. So let's make this as easy as possible. Grab a 2x4 and measure from the end out 11 inches and 1/16. Make your mark. Then repeat the process and measure out 12 inches and 9/16. Make your mark. With a square, take each mark all the way across the board so you have nice solid lines. Now, it doesn't matter in which direction you go, just take 2 opposing ends and connect them with a straight edge. If all your marks are perfect, you can take a protractor and check your angled line. It should read a 27-degree angle. If you don't end up with 27 degrees, go back and check all your measurements. Go back to your box and place it on its side. Measure from the top end down 3 9/16 of an inch. Make a mark and then ensure your mark is in the center of the board, just the center of the 2x4. Do not include the ply sheet when finding your center. Find a drill bit with the same circumference as your carriage bolts and then simply drill out your mark. Go back to your legs and measure 9 9/16 of an inch from your first mark. Ensure it's centered and then simply drill it out. If done correctly, your hole should be 1.5 inches from the end. Now take your leg to the miter saw and cut your bottom line first. Then cut your 27-degree angle. Find something round about the same width as the 2x4 and center it over your hole. Then trace out your circle. Yes, I am using a citronella candle here. Yes, as always, I am making this up as I go along. With a jigsaw or bandsaw, cut out your traced lines. Now, with one leg complete, you can go back and use it as a template for the remaining 3 legs. With all your legs cut, you can bolt them into place. Place a washer between the inside of the box and the leg, and also between the leg and the nut. Grab your sander and give your surface a light sanding. Ensure to sand the cornhole on both sides so nothing can grab at the bags while playing. Sand down all the sharp corners on the plywood around the perimeter. That's it, you're done. You can now paint or design your cornhole boxes any way you want. If you want to see what I did, then follow along. I took some classic oak stain and stained the face of each piece of plywood. I then measured out an inch perimeter all the way around each box. I put down some painter's tape and then I covered the center of each box with paper, which was tucked under the painter's tape. From there, I took some basic enamel spray paint and I painted one box in garnet and the other box in gold. A few of my friends are probably screaming right now, "No, not those colors." I let them dry for a few hours and then I came back and simply pulled off the tape. Now you can simply draw your logo directly onto the boards and paint them, but for me, this time, I took it a step further and used a vinyl cutter and cut out my logo. So no, I have never done this before. So to ensure my vinyl had no problem sticking to the wood, I put a light coat of spray shellac on the surface. I let this dry and then I put down my logo. That's it. So now let's get to playing. If you need to make your cornhole bags, make sure you click the link at the end of this video so we can start cutting our fabric. As always, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.